It is a Taco Tuesday. It is a moon landing Tuesday. As far as I'm concerned, July 20th should be a national holiday commemorating the first Apollo 11 moon landing. And I'm so old. Get off my lawn. I remember watching it. I was 8 years old. So anyway, lots go. Oh, and Jeff Bezos launches today. Good luck to him. I think his brother's on board that flight. That is Blue Origin, is the Jeff Bezos rocket. Chris Duel show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And Shannon, Jeff Bezos must be hating life that, Virgin Galactic and Richard Branson beat him by about a week and a half. He was planning that for years, and he picked July 20th on purpose because that's the anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. And Richard Branson said, cool, we'll go up on July 10th or whatever it was.
I guess because Virgin already had those airplanes, right? So they were kind of already in that space, which probably allowed them to beat him in as far as who could get there first. But I'm now hearing the argument for Bezos is that he's actually going to go higher into space.
True, yes.
Now, by how much? I mean, if this is like the Gronk catch being beat out by 150 feet, like in space, I don't know how much that is.
I think I heard like 12 miles. I think I heard, I'm not exact on these numbers, but I think I heard Richard Branson went like 50, went right to the line where officially you're at space. Mm-hmm. And apparently Bezos, and apparently that Virgin Galactic craft can't go higher, much higher. Okay. And this Bezos vehicle is more like a rocket, and that it's going to go about 12 miles higher, apparently. Something like that.
I know there's been a lot of controversy around this, but I do hope for safe travels for all involved to make it back safely.
Yeah, can you imagine? If something went wrong,
I don't want to see that.
No,
I do not.
But the other downside of this, this will be granted. You and I can't afford it on our high-paying radio salaries, but this is the beginning of commercial space flight, kind of in a big way. Where if you got that kind of money, you can go up, and enjoy it yourself as a civilian. Mm-hmm. So first of all, of course, from a human level, you want everybody to be safe. But secondly, a very early accident would really set back civilian space flight several years if something like that happened.
I don't know how far the price will start to drive down once this becomes more of a thing. All I know is I'm going to Disney World, and it's not a cheap place to go, but it's much cheaper. And I'm going to get to go to the Galaxy's Edge, little Space Mountain, little jungle safari. Like I'm basically going all around the world, and it's not going to cost me nearly as much as a 10-minute trip to space.
And again, you're right. It's like a 10-minute trip to space. Too. It's like 4 minutes of weightlessness. If it ever got to the point where you could go into orbit for a day or go up to the International Space Station, and that would be cool. For all that money to just go up for 10 to 15 minutes that's the total lift off to either splash down or however you return, and to spend like 4 minutes in space and in weightlessness, that's just a little weird.
It's enough time to get the perfect Instagram photo.
Although as I say that, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I have traveled to Mexico. I traveled across the country to Tennessee in 2017 to see a total eclipse of the sun. And the longest one of the 20th century was 7 minutes and 38 seconds. I think the one in 2017 was like 4.5 minutes. So, yeah. I on a certain level, whatever, floats your boat that you really want to see and experience, even if it is just 4.5 minutes, you might just go do that.
That didn't cost you nothing.
True.
Cost you a little bit of time, a little bit of gas money, but
I had a hotel in Nashville.
The experience itself, didn't cost nothing.
True. And I'm a big evangelist for this, as you know, Shannon. April 8th, 2024 A total eclipse of the sun goes across Texas. Center line will go over Kerrville and Austin. It'll just miss San Antonio. It'll be 99% in San Antonio. You've got to be in the path of totality to experience the big things. But so anyway, for those of us who can stay alive another, 3 years, less than 3 years, then a treat is coming to Texas. So you don't even have to go driving much, and you can see that. So that's cool. Woo. It is a Taco Tuesday. It is. So Shannon, you are wearing your iHeartRadio baseball cap and I think an iHeart t-shirt of some kind. You're very company loyal today.
Well, I saw that the iHeart Country Festival lineup is going to be announced today. So I thought, why not wear the shirt I got at the last time the festival took place here at the Irwin Center? And, I'm a company gal.
Nice.
Got my iHeart hat.
And we'll try to, if we find that out, and we should, during the show this morning, we'll pass along who's the biggest country act right now? If you were producing this iHeart Radio Country Music Fest, who's the one must get from the country music world right now?
Gosh, I don't.
Luke Combs.
It's been so hard to pay attention because
I'm not a big country guy. So
everyone is releasing and coming back out on tour at the same time. I would think so. The headliner of the show that got canceled due to COVID was going to be Blake Shelton. And then the day everything kind of shut down in Austin was going to be the Chris Stapleton concert. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if they finagled one of those two guys to come in and headline. Yeah. Tim McGraw headlined the one that I worked at. I was literally with the DJ. I never thought I'd say that in my life, but that was my gig, just to babysit him, which was harder than it sounds because he liked to wonder. And I'm very you need to be in your spot and in place and on time.
Wow. You were his boss. You were keeping him in line.
Yeah, sure.
Very cool.
Even though he had a handler there who was supposed to be doing that. Wasn't helpful. But it is a fun event. And then there's also the free, much like the festival in Vegas, there's the free daytime stage. So I'm excited for the announcement. I'm excited it's coming back in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, God, and we'll talk about it, and it's a part of our poll question this morning, Shannon. The more I'm hearing about COVID-19 and this Delta variant and outbreaks here in the United States and around the world, I am getting really worried for everything from the Olympics to NFL football, college football. Numbers are beginning to go up in a big way. Oh, and the Fox News people flipped yesterday. Hannity and a whole bunch of these people on Fox News who for the longest time either diminished your need to get a vaccination or in some outright said don't do it, or there bad things can happen to you if you do it, or it's all a conspiracy. Hannity and others now saying, hey, take this seriously. I got a vaccine. You go get a vaccine. So I think that is a responsible way to communicate to millions and millions of people. They are the highest rated cable news television network. So I applaud them. It's a little late. It's July 20th, 2021, but better late than never to get on board with science and medicine.
Did they say when they got it? Because it's hard. They've been in the studio working around these people that it's hard to believe that they weren't vaccinated to continue working in the same circumstances they were before.
Word is they had it for quite some time, the vaccines. But they know their audience, and it's red meat, and they know what their audience wants to hear. And apparently they made the determination their audience wanted to hear, anti-vaccine stuff and anti-COVID-19 belief. So, there's that. But anyway, it's in all 50 states, infections are up, hospitalizations are up, and deaths are starting to go up again. And the vast majority in some states, 99% of those who are passing away, sadly, have not been vaccinated. So Shannon's vaccinated, I'm vaccinated, and Dave Ayler, who we will introduce after we do this contest, is vaccinated. We recommend it. I'm just saying. So there's that. And if that freaks you out and you're vehemently anti-vax, I'm sorry. So
And I think you should maybe check science out, but that's just me.
Okay, back to sports and back to contests. It is 6:20. We're going to do this at 6:20 and 7:20. We're going to do it the rest of the week, and I think into next week. I think a total of 4 weeks. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest, giving away a lot of money, and a lot of people are winning the money here. And somebody wins the $1,000. That's my philosophy. Throw your name in the hat. You might just win. You're going to get a keyword and a place to text that keyword, and you're going to get it right now.
Your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword love to 200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's love to 200.
Love. Let love rule. The keyword is love. Best of luck. Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And let's bring in our soundscape stylist who is on a Taco Tuesday, proudly wearing the T-shirt of his hometown favorite NHL team, the team that won the 2019 NHL Stanley Cup champions, the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah,
Do I have that right? Woo!
And it's an hour and 38 minutes from Bezos taking off into space. They even have a countdown
Whoa!
clock.
So it's going to happen during this show.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock our time, I think. Fox News has got a big countdown clock going.
Very cool.
So it's like an hour and 38 minutes or something like that away.
Very, very cool. So,
and have you ever seen a launch of any kind of space thing?
not in person. Well, I used to, I mean, this doesn't really count, but when I lived in Southern California, they would sometimes launch rockets from Vandenberg Air Force Base. So you'd be out on the beach at night and you'd see like 50 miles away, just a rocket with flames going high into the atmosphere. But no, I've not been at Cape Canaveral or somewhere for an actual launch. Would love to.
I saw Space Shuttle Columbia take off in 1990.
Wow.
And because I happened to be in Orlando at the time, and it got scrubbed for the one day. The following day we were going to Cape Canaveral, and that was the day that it was taken off. They'd scrubbed it. They'd pushed it back to the next day because of weather, and it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
My goodness.
Because we were about 2 miles away from the actual launch site, so
Yeah.
we were ways away. But you'd see it take off, and then when it gets over, you hear all the rumbling of the rockets, and it was really, really cool.
That's on my bucket list, man. I would love to see that. But as I mentioned, as an 8-year-old kid, and growing up watching, the Gemini, I was a little too young to remember the Mercury, Project Mercury. I remember some of the Gemini launches, and I certainly remember it was July 16th, 1969, Apollo 11, because we all knew that it was going to try to land on the moon on July 20th. And of course it did on this day. Was it 52 years ago now? Something like that. Doing my rudimentary Holmes High School math. There's a reason why I'm not an astronaut. I'm not good at math.
And just to rub it into you, you're the only one on this show that was actually alive during that time.
I know. Well, and I thought about that this morning, Dave. I mean, we are and I was a kid, and I'm pretty damn old now. So we are a dwindling breed. It's almost like, like 10 years ago, they started saying, well, not a lot of people still alive that fought in World War II. They're dying off. Starting within like 10 years, they're going to go, well, not a lot of people around who were alive for the first moon landing. So yeah, we're dropping like flies.
Not to rub it in or anything, but
no. Well, and
Shannon weren't around in 1969.
And I get it. I'm a very old man. Get off my lawn, but it was cool. For those, I see like Hector Gomez and some people on Facebook and watching on our live video feed, which, by the way, you can access through Facebook, through YouTube, through Twitch, and elsewhere. Those who were lucky enough to be alive and conscious of what the heck it was just so cool. It was a cool thing. So, Shannon, we got a lot to talk about. Maybe one of the big headlines, tonight's NBA Finals. And I just think it's so huge, obviously, for both teams, because if the Bucks win, season over, Bucks are the NBA champions. But if the Bucks lose, given momentum, I can't imagine, and I guess it can happen. It's happened before. But if Phoenix can win this game tonight and send a Game 7 back to Phoenix, my good, I don't see the Bucks coming back and winning a Game 7 in Phoenix. So I just think this is. I think if the Bucks want to win the title, you better win it tonight. Don't act like, hey, we got it in our back pocket, we can go back to Phoenix, because I think that would be too rough. And if Phoenix can break through, and I don't think we've seen it yet in this series, Shannon, your big Chris Paul, I'm taking over game. He's been all right, but he's not in other series.
He's not Mr. MVP.
True. So if he and Devin Booker can both be red hot on the same night, and they need to do it tonight to extend their season to a 7th game, I think they could really, really be formidable tonight, and the Suns could. I mean, if those guys are hot, an excellent chance for the Suns to win tonight.
Of the two, I was pushing for the Suns. I like the Chris Paul story. I like Devin Booker as this up-and-coming guy. But it's not going to hurt my feelings if the Bucks do take it home tonight. It would be exciting to see a team take it on their home floor, especially after last year where everything was done in the bubble and fanless. I think that's an experience that I'd be excited to see as a person who isn't a fan necessarily of either team.
Yeah, and I just, again, I've told you this as a Spurs fan, just a few more Spurs ties on the Bucks than on the Suns, and I do like, if he could do it, Mike Budenholzer, the longest tenured Greg Popovich assistant, 17 years as an assistant coach, 19 years total with the Spurs, as he started out breaking down tape in the video room back when they had tape, back when it wasn't all digital. I think they actually had big old either VHS or some format, big old canisters of tape that they would use back in the day. Coming up, there's so much going on. So we'll talk NFL. We'll tell you specifically what the poll question is coming up. Our high five play of the day is next. We'll see who gets the high five. We have your salty shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. Tanner Carlson, we will officially congratulate him as he has dethroned Shannon as our fantasy golf champion via the British Open over the weekend. We'll get into that. We'll talk NFL football. It's only a day away. Dallas Cowboys. State of the Cowboys press conference from Oxnard, California. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Mike McCarthy. So we'll definitely talk some Cowboys and NFL football today as well. Dave Ayler making the show go. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Let's see. Anthony Del Toro, Tracy Bogert, Hector Gomez, Ralph Balderas, Steve Duraco, John Williams, and I love Paul Avalos. Paul Avalos, you're lying, Chris. Stay with sports. I don't believe in science or medicine. I'm Paul. The earth is flat, and we never went to the moon. It was all a hoax, and COVID is a hoax. Paul, with all due respect, read a book, dude. All right, I'm going to get some coffee because I can. I love the phrase, with all due respect. When someone says, with all due respect to you, that means they have no respect for you. So, Paul, with all due respect, thanks for being here this morning. I'm going to nuke my coffee. Paul, microwaves don't work either. They're a conspiracy. You get cancer if you use a microwave. Hector Gomez says the Bucks will win tonight. I got a feeling the Bucks win tonight too. But then again, I mean, these whole playoffs have gone against type and against common sense. And there have been so many injuries in these playoffs. It would not be a shocker if there were another major one today. Hector says Giannis and Middleton are on a roll. Very nice. Tracy Bogert, who is the president of the Bexar County MAGA Republicans and South Texas voter suppressors, says it's the libtards that messed with the microwave. Yeah, all those snowflakes. All those demo rats. Louisa says, go Bucks. David A. Valles is all about Phoenix. Tracy says, I think Chris Paul could be worn out. Tracy Bogert remembers the Apollo moon landing. He was 6. There's Taro. Taro's going to be on the show Friday. Taro, I'm thinking, given your time zone, I'm thinking maybe 6, like 10 after 6, 6:12 on Friday. Because typically at 6:35, Taro, we do the high five play of the day. And on Fridays, we usually have Paul Alexander at like in the first half of the 7 o'clock hour and James Allen in the first half of the 8 o'clock hour. So if 6, like 6:10, 6:12 works. Oh, excuse me. If not, a possibility would be 8:35. So, okay, cool. Let's do 6:10, Taro. Lucinda Sullivan, good morning. Lucinda with the coffee emoji. I second that emoji. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lucinda, with the music. I would sing, Lucinda, but you don't want to hear me sing. You don't want me with you at a karaoke bar. I am tone deaf. I can't sing worth a darn, which is too bad. I wish I could. I'd sing all the time if I didn't suck. at it. Watching Fox 29. The Surgeon General of the United States of America is recommending that kids in school wear masks. But in Texas, that would be illegal. So schools are unable to mandate mask wearing among the kids in Texas. Yeehaw. Yeah, Smokey Robinson on acid. Lucinda, thank you. And that would be too complex. Smokey Robinson on acid would be kind of cool. So probably something worse than that somehow. Here we go. Bust out your cheap sunglasses. Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney on a Taco Tuesday, on a moon landing day, July 20th, on Jeff Bezos launch day. Dave Ayler, our soundscape stylist, tells us that's going to happen in the 8 o'clock hour. We will keep an eye on it for you. We'll check it out. We'll let you know when it's coming. So that should be fun. Let's see. If you want to jump in at any point, you're always welcome. Phone lines are always open to you. 800-707-9760. 800-707-9760. Coming up in the 7 o'clock hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. This day in sports history, sports birthdays. 8 o'clock hour, Tanner Carlson, our NFL and Dallas Cowboys go-to guru and new defending fantasy golf champion, having correctly picked Colin Morikawa, the winner of the British Open. So we got that coming up. But right now, we do this at this time every weekday. Give away a big high five in the world of sports. It is the high five play of the day. It's got its own music. Goes a little something like this. Sponsored by High Five. 2 locations in Austin. All kinds of great things you can do at a High Five location in the Austin area. Axe throwing, laser tag, great food, great drinks, food specials, drink specials. And Shannon, didn't you tell me they often have taco specials, which is good for Taco Tuesday?
Yeah, $2 tacos on a Tuesday.
Woo!
That's a pretty good way to celebrate, if you ask me. And Chris, yesterday on a Monday, we didn't have a ton of action on the field of play, whether it be court, field, course, you name it. But we do obviously have a lot of lead in to the NBA Finals, where it could all come to an end tonight should the Bucks take this game. But to do that, they'll have to get past Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker has truly made a name for himself throughout this postseason, whether it be the cars he shows up in, the outfits he arrives in, and of course his play on the courts. A lot of people have been comparing him to Kobe Bryant, who some of us refer to as the greatest of all time. That would be folks from my generation, and I think correctly so, but to each his own. But even he was asked about this on appearance on The Jump. Yes, The Jump has returned to TV after the Rachel Nichols debacle.
I must ask you, is Rachel hosting The Jump? I haven't even checked that since the controversy.
She wasn't a part of this interview.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. But he was asked about these comparisons to Kobe Bryant, and this is what he had to say.
How are you feeling about these kind of Kobe comparisons that you're starting to get, where you see the numbers and you see your performances? How do you kind of feel about that?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it much. I know it's something that everybody has going on right now, and I didn't make that comparison myself. And,
Good morning, Beth Settle.
For me as a mentor, and the advice that he's left me with, so I try to take bits and pieces of his mentality and his approach, but I should never be compared to Kobe Bryant.
I give credit and a high five to Devin Booker, because I think a lot of players, whether it's in this world, if it's a quarterback saying they're like Tom Brady, or if it's a musician saying they're like Michael Jackson, they would take that and run with it. They'd use it to try and advertise themselves. They'd use it as some self-promotion. And he's saying, I will take everything he has given me, but I am not Kobe Bryant so don't compare me to Kobe Bryant. I think it's really big of him. I love that he's going to be his own player. I believe he was one of those young guys that Kobe was mentoring. So I'm sure it hit him in a way that it may not have hit others when we did lose Kobe. But I love that he was able to say, it's great. It's wonderful to be compared to your peers, especially peers that are well known for being great at what they did. But I think it takes a big man and a guy with, the right mindset to say, but I'm not, don't use that attachment to promote me or promote myself. I'm my own player. So a high five to you, Devin Booker.
I second that emotion. I give Devin Booker a high five, just like you do, Shannon. And yes, a lesser player could have just kind of embraced it. So yeah, well, I'm really honored. Thank you thank you. I model my game after Kobe, and I knew him, and he was kind of a mentor to me. So yeah, that's the highest.
I'd like to think I'm going to be better than Kobe.
So clearly, and one of my problems with a lot of NBA players is a lack of humility. NBA players, to me, almost more than other athletes, including NFL athletes or Major League Baseball athletes. There's another level of ego among NBA players. And I kind of get it, dating back to when they were probably in middle school. I mean, you make a big play. You learn this from Sports Center or watching other NBA teams other than the Spurs. You make a big basket. You pound your chest. You hold your arms out. Dig me. I'm special. So to show humility here for Devin Booker, and more importantly, to show sensitivity to the memory of Kobe Bryant and the magnificent player he was. High five and kudos. And you make another great point, Shannon, that Kobe was a mentor to Devin Booker. So many of us as fans, it's like, I never met Kobe Bryant, and probably a lot of people listening. I've been in the room with him. I've been in a press conference with him where he was up at the table, and I was one of the herd of cattle among the press. So I've been in the room with Kobe, but I never met him, and certainly never had a conversation but when Kobe died, like so many fans, I ached. It hurt. I grieved like so many NBA fans did for Kobe Bryant. I still do. My God, if you're Devin Booker, and apparently there were a lot of NBA players and basketball players and WNBA players, like I'm forgetting her name, the number one overall pick. She's in the Sabrina. Yeah, she's in the State Farm commercials with Chris Paul. I mean, my God, he was so close to her, mentoring her. For those people, blessed to have had a relationship with Kobe Bryant, for Kobe to see something in you and mentor you. And apparently what came with that was he'd watch your games on TV. He'd watch tape. He'd text you with ideas. When you did good, he'd text you. When you could use some work on something, he'd text you about that. I mean, you talk about being devastated by the loss of Kobe. It for some of these people, like Sabrina in the WNBA, and I can never pronounce Sabrina's last name, Ionescu or something. And like Devin Booker in this case in the NBA, my God, the loss they must have felt and continue to feel, the void in their lives having lost Kobe Bryant, must be just a big, big, big deal.
Big shoes to fill. And even though he said, don't compare me to Kobe Bryant, people are still going to do it. And I think he knows that, but it was, I think, good of him to say, that's not me accepting that comparison, especially if you were to search Devin Booker's name and Kobe right now on Twitter, It's not pretty. Yeah. So I just wanted to give him a high five for that. And, a little motivation, like, hey man, you may be compared to Kobe, but go play your own game tonight.
Yes.
When you a game 6.
And I mean, these are the moments that legends are made. And certainly not only Devin Booker, who we all assume Devin Booker, and this may be, you may assume at your own peril, because I always bring up Dan Marino when he went to one Super Bowl early and got blown out by the 49ers, and everybody, Dan Marino, he'll be back. for so many more Super Bowls. He's going to probably win 3-4 rings. He's Dan Marino, for God's sake. People now kind of assume that about Devin Booker and these Phoenix Suns, but especially tonight, Shannon, Chris Paul. You look at all the talent in the Western Conference, and if we're going to be objective, Chris Paul's legacy, while yes, he did finally get to the finals, and you and I just talked about Chris Paul's need to have a breakout, impactful, signature statement game tonight in Milwaukee in elimination game 6 for the Suns against the Milwaukee Bucks. Chris Paul's legacy will be a whole heck of a lot more powerful if he's got a ring, as opposed to if he goes to the finals and doesn't win it. I mean, I think about John Stockton and Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz, who went to the finals against Michael and the Bulls, but didn't get a ring. Charles Barkley with the Suns went to the final. Now, granted, Charles got a great legacy and Charles doesn't have to worry about it, but how much, I think if you talk to Charles Barkley or Karl Malone or John Stockton, those guys would kill for an NBA ring, and they were so close. They were in the finals, and they had it on. And both of those teams played the Bulls well. That Suns team and that Utah Jazz team. But big night for Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and all of the Phoenix Suns trying to stay alive tonight in Milwaukee.
Well, and on the other side of that, I saw the argument yesterday that should Giannis and the Bucks win, he pretty much did it alone, and that he is not part of a super team. He is the super team, and then he's got a cast of characters around him that now step up at times. Chris Middleton can go for some when he's having one of those days.
And more often than not in the playoffs. I keep going back to my early playoff pronouncement, Shannon. I was wrong saying, well, Chris Middleton's not really a Robin to Giannis's Batman. He's too inconsistent. He's been pretty consistent in these playoffs.
But I thought it was a great point. I mean, LeBron's Lakers, it's him and AD and a bunch of scrubs, and that's very noticeable when one or both of them are out. He had the same situation in Miami. He just had 2 stars next to him. It was the same thing in Cleveland. Kevin Durant, when he was with the Warriors, had a pretty great starting 5, but you get a couple injuries, and things can happen. Things can go wrong when you don't have, it's almost like the quarterback position, right? Like they're the quarterbacks of those teams, and there's such a fall off from the next man up. And part of that's just what happens when you put all your money towards a handful of players. So I think it's great for the league. Again, it's great for these markets, but it's great for the league that, he doesn't need to be on a super team. He is superhuman himself and is going to potentially take these Bucks to their first championship in many, many years.
Speaking, Shannon, of basketball, and I'm going to shift gears for a moment to the NBA. I heard a suggestion this morning. It may make your head explode. And again, it was a national television. It was a national news show this morning, a cable news show that did a little bit of sports. And they pointed out that for the U.S. Olympic team, which, oh, by the way, and I saw our good friend Taro Kotani from Tokyo, the greatest international Spurs fan. And Shannon, Taro's going to join us on Friday on the show in the 6 o'clock hour, probably in the first half hour of the show, just to give us a feel for the beginning of the Olympics in Tokyo, because he's on the ground in Tokyo. He had basketball tickets. He was assured of seeing Australia, and he's a Spurs fan, so he knew he was going to see Patty Mills, but he also had tickets for the semifinals, which we kind of think Team USA should be there. So he was expecting to see Greg Popovich, Kevin Durant, and now Keldon Johnson in Team USA. But we learned overnight as the team flew last night from Las Vegas to Tokyo, and that's a long flight. They could still be flying for all I know right now. Zach Levine of the Chicago Bulls has entered health and safety protocols. He did not make the flight from Vegas to Tokyo. He still may, depending on how this works, if he has like 3 negative tests for COVID, he could still theoretically rejoin Team USA in Tokyo. But the news anchor this morning, Shannon, the suggestion was, hey, if Zach Levine can't come back, there's going to be an open roster spot on Team USA. And the anchor said, Space Jam 2, LeBron is promoting it. It's a big deal. Why not give LeBron a call. If you got an open spot, who's the greatest player right now playing in the NBA? And he'd probably say yes because he would like to promote Space Jam 2. Can you imagine, Shannon? And Pop likes him. Can you imagine if LeBron got the call and they say, hey, we got an open spot, LeBron. You're the man. You're the king. You want to come to Tokyo? What do you think of that, Shannon?
I don't know if he takes it. And if he does, I don't know that those players respect him for doing
it. Could
that.
cause
because
dissension.
You already got the opportunity and you declined for whatever reasons.
True.
And now that there's an opening and because a lot of it was rest, right? I mean, the season and his
and he was complaining about the bubble.
Year, he didn't have enough rest time. He didn't like having to do the All-Star game. Oh, so you're willing to play for the Olympic team if you're not doing the work, the couple of weeks leading up to it with the workouts and the exhibition games and whatever, but offer me a roster spot to just fly over to Tokyo and play some basketball for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I'll do that. No, sir.
You make a great point. Keldon Johnson of the Spurs was on the select team. So when Bradley Beal went out, Keldon Johnson was already playing in Vegas against Team USA on the USA select team. You're right. LeBron declined to go. So I think that could cause dissension.
Yeah.
It's something like that. And again, it was some dude. I'm not saying that's going to happen or even be offered. It was some national network anchor suggesting that this morning.
But even like Keldon Johnson, right? Like he's not a starter, is he, for this team?
No.
And if you bring LeBron, like he's a starter. So then he changes your entire rotation.
Yes.
Just him being there. I just don't think that would be great for that team at this point.
I
Too
agree.
late.
But man, people's heads would explode if that happened. So just
in not a good way, I think.
Strange. Yeah, not in a good way. And strange things can happen. We're about an hour and 6 minutes away from the Jeff Bezos launch of Blue Origin into space. We'll keep an eye on that all morning, but it's a sports show. So we'll talk. Oh my gosh. Did you hear about the new NFL lineup for Monday Night Football? We'll talk about that coming up. Chris Duel show. Don't go anywhere. Woo. I just about ran out of time there. Kept it close. Beth Settle, good morning. You're up way early. It's about as early as I've seen you in here, Beth. Where is my... Woo! So yeah, Taro, I already have you. I already have you down for Friday, man. There's our big Friday lineup. Taro, Paul, James. Planning the Friday show on a Taco Tuesday. My God. Okay. I may be getting another hit of coffee here. So yeah, Taro, let's figure. I think you called us last time. I'm not sure how that works in Tokyo. We'll figure it out. I mean, if you want us to call you, we're happy to give it a shot. I don't know how much that costs you. Hopefully it doesn't cost you much money. But yeah, I mean, we're happy to make that call. I don't want you to pay $920 for the phone call. All right, Tara, hopefully that doesn't cost you a lot of money. If it does, and if it makes more sense for us to call you, we're happy to do it. All right, I'm going to heat up my coffee, and we'll do this again. We'll do hour number 2, numero dos. Clint Proctor, what is up? Let's see here. I have to send and edit some spots. I just remembered. John Williams, that is the weirdest question. John Williams, Chris, if you could be a sweet treat, what would it be and why? Wow. Nothing comes to me immediately, John. That is just one of the weirdest questions I have heard. I don't know what motivates that. I have told you, I've mentioned this on the air like 3 times lately. My favorite ice cream back in the day, because I don't eat ice cream much at all anymore, because I like eat one bite of it and I get fatter. It was called Haagen-Dazs deep chocolate peanut butter. And it would be chocolate ice cream in a Haagen-Dazs pint with a swirl of big old thick swirl of peanut butter in the middle of it. And of course, I'm a freak, so I would drink beer with it. Went well with beer. Get an ice cold beer, and I would this is why I got fat. I would eat the entire pint of Haagen-Dazs deep chocolate peanut butter. I don't even know if they make that anymore. I haven't seen it. Thank God I haven't gone looking for it. Yeah, Jason. John Williams going the Barbara Walters route. Weirdest question ever.
Now, Chris Duel.
On a Taco Tuesday, on a moon landing day, July 20th, 2021. And oh, by the way, we are 53 minutes and 22 seconds away, unless there's a hold, of the launch of the Jeff Bezos Blue Origin craft, which Shannon Salty Sweeney, I believe that is being launched from the great state of Texas. I believe. I don't have all the details in front of me, but I think I read that.
You know more than I do, sir.
Woo! I'll try to run that down here in the 7 o'clock hour, since launch is due at 8 o'clock. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. Dave Ayler wearing his St. Louis Blues t-shirt representing his St. Louis Blues. I'm wearing my Peace, Love, Tacos t-shirt for a Taco Tuesday to capping it off with a cap. I got a Houston Astros baseball cap. Anthony Del Toro telling us West Texas. John Williams telling us Van Horn, Texas is where the launch will be for Jeff Bezos' spacecraft, Blue Origin, at 8 o'clock. We'll keep an eye on that for you. In fact, Shannon, John Williams, one of our regulars on the live video feed. And if you're new to the show, it's kind of fun. We stream live video. There's a lot of ways you can participate in the live video feed. One way is on Facebook via AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook page or Ticket 760's Facebook page, or you can get through it on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch. There's all sorts of links, typically from the Twitter pages at AM 1300 The Zone and at Ticket 760. And oh, by the way, speaking of Twitter, you can find Shannon on Twitter at Shannon B. Sweeney, and that will work for Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, across all social media, except for Friendster and MySpace. She doesn't do that. Dave Ayler, you could get him on Twitter, but he's anti-Twitter. Some people are anti-vax. Dave Ayler is anti-Twitter. Wow. So anyway, John Williams, Shannon, and Dave asks me the weirdest question I've been asked recently, maybe ever. John Williams writes on the live video feed, Chris, if you could be a sweet treat, what would it be and why? The hell kind of question is that for sports talk radio?
Don't answer that.
If I could be a sweet treat, what kind would it be and why? You're right, Shannon. I like your philosophy. Don't answer that question. You're like my attorney. It's like there's some question. I don't have to answer that question, Your Honor. I plead the fifth. This is sports talk
radio. That has
radio.
nothing to do with what we're doing here.
Yeah, that's irrelevant. You're out of order, John Williams. You're out of order. I'm out of order. This whole court is out of order. So there's that. What is not out of order is our poll question this morning. And Shannon, I mentioned earlier, I got a bad feeling about the return of the coronavirus, although it's technically not the return. A lot of the issue is this Delta variant. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And it inspired our poll question this morning. Shannon, what might our poll question be?
Now we're pulling the people asking, how bad will COVID-19 outbreaks impact the Olympics? And so far, it looks like a lot of people are with you, as they're saying 68% will significantly impact the Olympics, 9% saying it'll actually shut down the Olympics, 18% saying moderate, and 4.5% saying very little.
See, I'm thinking significant. I voted it will significantly impact the Olympics. I hope I'm wrong, but numbers globally seem to be going up, and I hope I'm wrong. This is getting a little scary to me. How do you feel? Where do you vote on this poll?
I'm usually the pessimist and always think of the worst. But because I want this so bad and I want the Olympics to make it all the way through, I said moderately.
Okay.
Because there are athletes who are obviously have already said now they can't go, right? And hopefully most of the athletes that somehow get the virus don't make it to Tokyo and aren't able to spread it to other athletes, causing more of an issue, so that people are able to compete and medals are able to be given out. It is interesting. I saw that for the medal ceremonies, like they have to put their own medals on their neck.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, that's not the worst thing in the world. But we talked yesterday about, like, should they even do the opening ceremony? Like, is it worth to put all those people in one place of all these leaders and then all of these people who are involved with the show? Like, yes, they've worked really hard for it and it costs a lot of money, so you might as well see it through in the advertisers. But at what level is it just unnecessary when we have this COVID issue? And then I think of, giving out the gold medals, like, yes, that's what they worked for and they've won, and they're going to sing their national anthem if they won the gold medal in front of everyone who's watching. And it's such a powerful moment. But there's no fans in the stands. So it's just them standing there alone. Again, you're probably putting them in contact when they don't need to be in contact or around people for that, right? Like, they can win and then be a winner. What makes you a winner is not when you go stand on that platform at 1, 2, or 3. It's right when you finish that event. So I don't know. I feel like that would be something I'd start taking away too, as sad as that sounds, because I do love those moments of seeing whatever country they're representing, getting that medal put on and having that lifetime moment achieved. But as our poll question suggests, like, COVID is going to impact in some shape or form. How can Tokyo and the Olympics combat that in some way?
Yeah, my goodness, it's going to be fascinating. And I hope you're right. I think the best outcome is moderate. I mean, I think already you would argue, we just had another name, Zach Levine. Now he still may very well play. We brought him up earlier. He's on the Team USA basketball team from the Chicago Bulls, but he did not make the trip from Las Vegas to Tokyo last night for Team USA men's basketball. He's entered health and safety protocols. There's still a chance he could join the team, but we shall see. And as we know, the fight. When I walked in this morning, Shannon. Here's a reason to want the finals to end tonight. I was walking in the door, and Charlie Parker, who does morning news for 1200 WOAI, Dave Ayler knows him well because Dave Ayler works on that morning news show down the hall. But he said, I want the finals to end tonight because the sooner Devin Booker and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton can get on a flight and get to Tokyo, that's better for Team USA. My understanding is Team USA will have 4 practices in Japan before Sunday's first game in group play against France. So I'm assuming, I haven't even looked up Game 7. I'm assuming it's on Thursday. If there's a Game 7, I'll look that up. But yeah, if it would end tonight, let's get these guys on a plane and get them to Tokyo.
Actually, I think it's the 23rd.
Okay.
I think.
So that would
they have to go to Phoenix, right?
So that would be Friday, which makes more sense. If you're the NBA, do you want a Thursday night game or you want a Friday night game in prime time? I think you would want Friday.
Either way, yeah. If we're being selfish, let's go ahead and end this thing. Of course, again, we've had that we kind of talked about this at the beginning of, if you're heading to the Olympics and you just lost the finals, does that mean, okay, I'm more interested in getting over there to try and win something because I just lost the finals?
Ooh,
or
yeah.
If I win the finals, do I want to turn around and not celebrate and get on a plane, go to the Olympics?
Yeah, and if you win the finals, don't you want to celebrate, A, with your boys on the team, and B, with your family and friends? You want to tie one on for about 24 hours?
And then not immediately have to adjust your body to the time difference.
Yeah.
That to me is like got to be the hardest part of dealing with COVID at these Olympics, because they're limiting the days you can get there ahead of time. And that's going to be so hard on those guys that do leave the U.S. after the finals to go play in Tokyo.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating as well to see just how that happens, especially for the winners. If Milwaukee wins tonight and wins the NBA championship tonight, Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, it'll be fun to kind of watch and see, do they go right away or do they wait a while and party? And Milwaukee would almost certainly, I think certainly have a parade. Would they stick around for the parade? I would think so. Or not, but we'd find out. All right, I want to get into this, Shannon. And oh, by the way, we will give away $1,000 or give you a chance to win the $1,000 here in just a little over 2 minutes at 7:20. But I know you saw this, Shannon, because you put it in the show notes for this morning. Big story. 2 big-time names, one of whom about to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2 weeks. The other almost certainly will enter the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well, they will enter a broadcast booth for an alternate Monday Night Football broadcast. This is kind of a big deal, I think.
Yeah, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning teaming up with the Disney company and ESPN, as well as their production company, Omaha Productions, to, from what I understand, broadcast. They're going to do 10 games each season from 2021 to 2023. Those 3 seasons right now are what are under contract, and on a different ESPN channel from ESPN when Monday night games air. They will be on
ESPN2.
ESPN2 and possibly ESPN Plus properties.
Okay.
They will be providing commentary and bring in other players and former and current to talk along with them. I'm very confused until we see it. I think I'm going to be a little confused about how this is going to work, because as someone who loves football, I want to watch the game and I want there to be good commentary to go along with it. But I'm not there for interviews and it almost feels like that Nickelodeon experiment they did with the kids, where it was more about everything else on the screen. And by the way, there's a football game going on in the background.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. If they're just kind of screwing off and not focusing enough on the game and doing interviews in the middle of a play, that would be wrong. But if they do it right, and I'm with you, I want to watch the game, I want expert commentary. But if you're going to give me Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, certainly Peyton, a great personality. Eli, the jury is out, I think, but with his brother, I think that'll loosen him up a little bit, if not a lot. If they do it right, Shannon, and the way Monday Night Football has always done it, if a guest shows up in the booth, you talk to him or her, in between plays, and you come back to him after this play and after the next play, and you're still able to call the play and analyze the play in the immediate aftermath of the play. I think it could work. But as I told you, Shannon, before the show, when you and I talked about this, if I'm on the regular broadcast crew on the regular ESPN broadcast, and I'm the one that Jason Witten was on, if I'm one of those people, and I know that over on ESPN2 that your big headliners are Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, I'm a little ticked off.
Yeah,
it's like you are certainly, we don't know by how much, maybe by a lot, you are going to dilute that audience for the prime crew of Monday Night Football.
Because although we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, you can guarantee, Peyton doesn't just sign on to anything, and he goes full max effort when he does anything. So it's going to be well thought out for whatever it is. And I'm looking here, they're actually going to do the first 3 Monday Night Football games, Peyton and Eli, that third one being Philadelphia at Dallas. So I may have to definitely tune in for that one.
Yeah, take that, Eli.
If I miss the first few.
NFC East rivals. We'll jump back into this topic here in just a sec. Right now it's 7:20. We do this throughout the day on the 20s, and we do it during this show at 6:20 and 7:20. We'll be doing it the rest of this week, and I do believe next week as well. It's the Grand in Your Hand cash contest over the course of 4 weeks. $228,000 is being given away. Somebody wins that money. It may as well be you. You're going to get a keyword right here, and after you get the keyword, a place to text it, And here it comes. You're going to get this information right now.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword PAY to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's PAY to 200-200.
Pay to 200-200. Shannon, I've got a television screen on in the studio. They have a countdown clock to the scheduled launch for the first human flight of the Blue Origin spacecraft, headlined by Jeff Bezos. His brother is on board, a woman who flew or was scheduled to fly back in the early 60s, one of the group of women selected that could have flown in Project Mercury, but did not. She's 82 years old. There is an 18-year-old youngest, I believe the youngest and oldest people going into space will be aboard that. And top of the hour, 8 o'clock, that is coming up. Are you excited, Shannon? Is there? I know you're excited for sports. Are you feeling launch fever this morning?
I don't have a TV in my studio like you do, so I'm hoping, are they launching like right at 8, or is there going to be a whole processional?
My understanding is there's a countdown clock that says 8 o'clock. So,
okay. So maybe
at the moment, I'm hearing 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Right now, they're driving out to the launch pad.
But
the crew is driving out to the launch
which is so weird, because you think about Apollo and the space shuttle, and in a typical NASA launch, the astronauts are on board the spacecraft like 5 hours before launch.
Yeah.
And right now they're just lollygagging, driving out to the launch is in 38 minutes, 37 minutes. And they're just driving out to get on board right now.
As long as they remember to click it, because they're launching in Texas. Okay, click your ticket.
Look at her ticket.
And they're only going up for like 10 minutes. And coming back down.
Exactly.
You know, the NASA guys, they were going up there for a couple of days.
Wow. Going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's exciting, but again, it's a little controversial, and whatever. Do what you want with your billions and billions of dollars, I guess.
Yeah, John.
But if
Williams,
you drop any change on your way up there,
woo,
you know, I'll just let me know where. I'll go find it.
yeah, somewhere it'll land somewhere in the state of Texas.
Just drop a stack or two.
Yeah, the woman the 82-year-old, and John Williams, the guy who asked the ridiculous question earlier on our live feed for the video feed, is pointing out her name is Wally Funk. I know normally you hear the name Wally and you think that's a guy. No, she's a woman, Wally Funk. She's 82 years old. She's reportedly from Grapevine, Texas. So she's a Texan. And Shannon, in fact, it might have been one of our high fives. You and I talked about it when this story broke, that she would be on board this Blue Origin spacecraft this morning. I love, she was a woman who wanted to go into space, trained just like the men did to go into space via NASA in the early 1960s, and the opportunity for those women was taken away. And at 82 today, in 26 minutes, apparently, she's going to get her chance to go into space. It may be my favorite part of this story here this morning.
It's very reminiscent of the Yankee story we had a couple of weeks ago with the Batgirl, who was denied the ability to be a Batgirl because she was a girl. And, you know, oh, you'll be a distraction. You don't want that kind of attention. And she finally got to live out that dream. But if you're Wally, like, the fact that she went through all that training, I'm so happy for her that she's getting this shot. But isn't it kind of crazy that she went through all of that training, and now, like, all this guy and these other guys have to do is just like pay a ticket?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you don't understand the kind, because you've seen like the videos of like the underwater stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All that training is like when people who fear theme parks because of the rides and stuff, like, it's basically that's what I would compare it to. It's like the worst rides imaginable.
Yes. And what they did, having read about those astronaut candidates in the 1960s, because we had not gone to space before, they did all kinds of extra medical stuff on the, I mean, they exposed them to extreme heat in a capsule just to see how long they could last until they passed out. They exposed them to extreme cold in a capsule just to see how long and testing every heartbeat, brain waves, every body temperature, everything. So, I mean, my God, what these women went through in the 60s as part of their NASA training must have been just unthinkable for most of us.
And that's after you pass like the being smart test.
Yes, that's when
Like
you're accepted.
the second I hit the math level, I'm like, I'm out. Like I wouldn't even make it to the training with everything else. So it's fantastic. And of all of those people going up today, I'm super excited for her.
Yeah, I can't wait to see her interview afterwards. And again, fingers crossed and a number of prayers that it all goes well for everybody on board today. And Shannon, I know we'll probably get back into it. Maybe we'll jump into it with Tanner Carlson. But my last question for you on this idea, and it's more than an idea, it's going to happen on Monday Night Football broadcast, an alternate channel of one of which could be ESPN2, Peyton Manning and Eli Manning offering you alternative commentary for the NFL games. I actually applaud it. I mean, overall, are you cool? Do you like this idea, or do you think it's a bit too much?
It's innovative, and I think, in their press release, that's kind of where ESPN's trying to go, right? They're trying to engage as many people as they possibly can in these broadcasts. It is weird that they're kind of almost competing against their normal broadcast, but if it brings in more people that weren't already watching, the games, then why not do it? I mean, that's very similar to that Nickelodeon experiment, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did that again, because it's just another avenue to bring in fans that you may not have already had. And again, super curious to see. I'm also like, Eli and Peyton are so different personality wise, and I feel like Peyton kind of drags Eli along a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how Eli turns up in this moment.
I'm hoping Eli loosens up a little bit. Show us some personality, Eli Manning. All right, coming up. Speaking of personality, the Salty Shakedown is moments away. We've also got this day in sports history, sports birthdays, and a whole lot more. Tanner Carlson, our new fantasy champion, going to join us, coming off his British Open Championship, where he drafted Colin Morikawa with the 11th and next to the last pick. And Dave Ayler, you and I are watching these astronauts, and I guess technically they're going into space. We can call them astronauts getting on board the Blue Origin spacecraft as we speak. That launch coming up at 8 o'clock. We will pay attention to that as well. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney, getting ready for the Salty Shakedown, moments away. Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. I'm Chris, with you till 9. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Chris Duel Show. I am getting a weird sound. Where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? It's got to be there, right? Yep, that's it. Okay, I am going to edit some R&R auto glass spots. Robert says, sweet bitter memories. Teacher brought her TV from home to James Madison Elementary School. Say that again. I'm locked into Fox 29. I'm locked into the channel that Charlie has on. Yeah. Wow. Very Texas. Fonzie J. Rodriguez, welcome in, Fonzie. Yeah, that looked like a lot of steps. You're Jeff Bezos. Spring for an elevator, dude. Okay, where's my R&R auto glass? There they are. I've got to edit, which is pretty quick, typically. 3 R&R auto glass spots for Mr. David Munoz, who is the account executive. R&R Auto Glass. They are. I took my vehicle in there the other day. They're so good. Great prices, experts. I had a horrible experience once with a Safe Light auto glass. I mean, they screwed up like literally like 5 times in a row. They kept coming out and they kept getting it wrong. And the workmanship was awful. So I learned the hard way. I'm going to lower that. But, oh, now I need to. Or do I? How long is that? Wes Perkins, good morning. Welcome in. Let me see this. Ralph Balderas, good morning. Yeah, Ralph, Dave Ayler was telling me he saw that one of those astronauts getting on board the spacecraft wearing a cowboy hat. Apparently you saw that too. Funny. And that could be a first. First person in space, at least getting into the spacecraft with a cowboy hat. And a first launch of human beings into space from the great state of Texas, correct? I believe so. I believe that is the case. Here we come. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney on a Taco Tuesday, on a moon landing Tuesday, July 20th. It was on this day on July 20th in 1969. We got sports history coming up, but that's like global planet Earth, world history, one of the greatest achievements humankind has ever accomplished. It happened on this day, Apollo 11 moon landing, and two guys, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, walking on the moon on this day in 1969. And Shannon, Dave Ayler pointed out, and Ralph Balderas citing it on our live video feed, the astronauts climbing on board the launch vehicle, which is due to launch at the top of the hour, 8 o'clock, the Jeff Bezos Blue Origin vehicle. I do believe the first ever launch of human beings into space from the great state of Texas. And appropriately, Shannon, one of those dudes gets on board the spacecraft wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. I do believe, I'm a minor space historian, I cannot cite another astronaut getting on board a spacecraft wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. I think this is a first this morning.
It's a good thing we're not playing stereotypes.
And will that astronaut say yee-haw when they light the
Bring
candle?
a horse on there too.
Wilbur. There you go. That's it. That's next, Bezos. I want the first horse in space. This is Texas, for crying out loud. All right, Shannon. Right there, Dave, with the horse sound effect. I enjoyed that.
But since it's Texas, shouldn't it be a longhorn?
Oh, God, there you go. Yes. All right, I want the next astronaut to wear Longhorn gear from the University Co-op. That would be cool. Woo! Shannon would approve of that. Shannon's.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's been done already.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Texas has some astronauts.
I'm sure.
Gone up.
Yeah. Woo! That is a good question, though. Has anybody worn? I'm sure somebody went on a space shuttle wearing their Longhorn gear at one point. Shannon's Salty Shakedown is moments away. Before that, sports birthdays. And we'll start with this day in sports history. All of these events a little overshadowed in history by the Apollo 11 moon landing, but it's sports. This was pretty big. In 1976, on this day, Hank Aaron, Hammerin' Hank Aaron, hit his final home run, and he was the record holder at the time, so it set the new record at 755 home runs. A lot of people may not remember Hank Aaron finished his career with the Milwaukee Brewers, so he hit that home run off of Dick Drago of the California Angels. So your little trivia, who pitched the last home run to Hank Aaron? That would be Dick Drago of the California Angels. On this day, 10 years later, in 1986, the British Open men's golf tournament, Australian Greg Norman wins his first ever major championship at even par. He was 5 strokes clear of the runner-up, who was Gordon J. Brand. So a big British Open victory on this day in 1986 for Greg Norman. And finally, On this day in 1994, former NFL running back, broadcaster, and actor, Heisman Trophy winner, USC alum, O.J. Simpson offered a $500,000 reward for evidence into the real killers of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. Thank you, OJ. OJ has yet to have to pay that $500K because nobody's found the real killers. Although I think we know who it was.
Is he looking for a tax write-off to pay himself?
Maybe. OJ. Thanks, OJ. So that's your sports history. July 20th, time for some sports birthdays. Born on this day in 1930, American Basketball Hall of Fame head coach Chuck Daly, who led the Boston Celtics to 2 NBA championships. I do believe he coached or was on the staff of Team USA in the Olympics as well, Chuck Daly. He was born on this day in 1930 in Kane, Pennsylvania. Chuck Daly passed away in 2009. Born on this day in 1945, American College Football Hall of Famer, 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro. He was the Super Bowl MVP in 1972 when the Dolphins went 17-0. Number 13, Jake Scott. Jake Scott out of the University of Georgia, born on this day in 1945 in Greenwood, South Carolina. Jake Scott passed away in 2020. Born on this day in 1975, I don't like this guy, Ray Allen, because he hit that 3-point shot against the Spurs in Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 2013. 10-time NBA All-Star Ray Allen, Spurs killer, born on this day in 1975 in Merced, California. And speaking of basketball, finally, perhaps a future Spur, perhaps a future Dallas Maverick, born on this day in 1996. He may be on the block. Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers, Australian point guard, head case. He's got issues. The 2016 number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, born in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, on this day in 1996. One Ben Simmons. By the way, Jason Paniagua, thank you, Jason. That's why I love our live video feed. Our listeners/viewers act as producers. Jason Paniagua pointing out, I thought he was involved. Chuck Daly coached the original Dream Team featuring Michael Jordan in 1992. I thought he was involved with the Olympics and the Dream Team, but I wasn't 100%. So Chuck Daly's birthday today in 1930. Those are your birthdays. That's your sports history. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, on a Taco Tuesday, on a moon landing and Jeff Bezos launch, July 20th. Here it is. You've been waiting. Here is your just reward, your salty shakedown.
As we've noted, many athletes from the U.S. are making their way to Tokyo to compete in the Olympics. And 26 of those athletes are either former or current UT athletes, and as well as 2 coaches heading to the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. They will be representing 11 different Longhorn programs, and 15 of them will be representing the United States of America. Prior to the 2020 Olympics, Texas had 159 athletes from Texas compete in the Olympics. And Chris, I want you to guess the number of medals that those 159 athletes have won.
Wow, 159 athletes.
You had to guess.
I'm going to say 98 medals.
98 medals. That'd be pretty great. But the total medal count is 144 with 83 gold, 38 silver, and 23 bronze. The University of Texas was its own country in these Olympics.
God.
They would be one of the higher seeds as far as medal count. So good luck to these 26 athletes and 2 coaches who are making their way over there, and for whatever team and country they are for. We've got Ariel Atkins actually playing for the women's basketball. We obviously know Kevin Durant playing on the men's side. Plenty of folks from track and field, swimming, volleyball, diving, men's golf. Jonathan Vegas We've heard of him. He sometimes appears here at Dell Match Play. It's pretty amazing that the University of Texas pumps out these athletes, and awesome that they are getting to represent not only their country, but their university when they go to these games. All right, we're going to move on to Shaq now, because we love us some Shaq. I would dare say I love me some post-NBA career Shaq more than I love NBA career Shaq, because he has quite the personality. And we've had a lot of great stories come our way from Shaq just this year. One of my favorites being when he was in a jewelry store getting himself some earrings. He came across a man who was trying to buy an engagement ring, and he just bought it for him. Diamonds probably didn't even ask what the price was, just said, "Here's my credit card." And that's for a guy he didn't even know. So that may lead you to think that for his kids must be so spoiled. They must get whatever they want. But this video that's been running around the past couple of days of Shaq, who was making an appearance, I'm not really sure what it was for, but for whatever reason, the topic of his son came up, and this is what Shaq had to say.
For Christmas, one of my sons got all A's. I was like, man, go pick what you want. So he come back with the Tesla. I said, you better take your ass across the street to the Chargers. You better get you a Charger. I ain't getting a Tesla. No, dog. Better get you a Charger. The V6 and that. I get the Hellcat. You don't get the Hellcat.
Now, were my parents giving me vehicles when I got an A in school? No, we were going to Chuck E. Cheese and getting me the coins for every A I got, or maybe even a Krispy Kreme for a donut for my A's. Never a car, but I do love that Shaq, who could very easily afford a Tesla, could probably do a sponsorship deal with him and get 5 of them for free in his driveway. Told his son, you better not, you better take that back. You're getting a Charger, and oh, not even a souped up Charger, just the regular old Charger. I love it. I think it's great. Chris, if Shaq told you to go get whatever you want, I mean, what would you get?
Oh my goodness. I would get a ticket on the Blue Origin spacecraft, which would cost Shaq a lot of money.
I wonder if he could go up. I wonder if there's weight.
Oh my God. That's a great, I don't know.
Height limits, would he fit?
Yeah. Would he fit in the seat? And that's a great question. I got to ask you though, the whole Tesla Charger idea with Shaq's son made me think it made me remember my first car was a copper colored 1968. It was old when I first drove in the 70s. Plymouth Belvedere. Do you Shannon remember your first car, and what was it?
It was a Covert Ford Explorer.
Oh my God. Serious vehicle.
It was my mom's. And I drove it for like.
You inherited it.
Yeah, she got a new car, and I got this truly the soccer mom car.
Very nice. Dave Ayler, what was your first car?
A 1985 Pontiac Sunbird.
Nice, very nice. I think Shannon wins that
Never
one.
heard of either of these cars.
Yeah, and the Plymouth Belvedere. People that haven't even heard of a Plymouth these days.
Well, the Belvedere,
I've
that
heard
was
of
a family car.
Yes.
Heard of the Plymouth Rock.
Sorry, Shannon, to interrupt the salty shakedown with the first car
that's
question.
Great. That's what it's for. It's to incite other conversations. All right, moving on. NIL has taken over. Okay.
Yes.
Athletes are coming up with all kinds of ways to make money. But I think the Aggies are about to ruin it for people like you and I, Chris, because TexAgs, which is very popular fan-based website, right, where they've got all kinds of message boards, this, that, and the other. Well, they are paying 2 Aggie football players $10,000 for exclusive interviews. Now, what these interviews will entail, if there'll be video, if there'll be just audio, if there'll be just written word, whatever. We don't know those details, but we do know they're getting paid $10,000, which is interesting because a lot of these athletes, like we know specifically at Texas, right on Tuesdays after games, they provide the media with a couple players to talk to the media, and those are the ones that are available. You don't get the other players, right? You don't get to request a player. They say these are the ones that are available, and then they stand over them and they make sure that the questions they're asked are not anything too out of the ordinary, and they kind of advise them. And it's been hard to get access to players outside of those meetings, right? Because they are protected by the university and the programs, as well as they're attempting to protect the universities and the programs that they represent. So the fact that we're now into this, where they're saying, Yeah, but all bets are off the table if I get paid. I think this may be taking it a step too far, especially when you consider interviews are for advertising promotional purposes. That's why people do interviews. They're looking to plug whatever it is they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
These athletes, they don't need to sell tickets to Kyle Stadium. Those are sold out. They have no problem filling that stadium of 100,000 plus week in and week out. So I don't know, unless these athletes have some other deal, what they are promoting other than themselves, but they're getting paid for this interview. I think that's a step too far in this NIL. I haven't seen anything else come out of it, so it's not surprising that it's an Aggie who's doing it first. But is this too far, Chris? We don't pay people to do interviews.
No. And Shannon, you and I were talking before the show. I mean, we've occasionally run into some people who think they should be paid for an interview.
Yes.
It's like, hey, can you come on and talk about the Dallas Cowboys? Yeah, I want to be paid. We don't pay people for interviews.
Yeah.
Never will.
I'll get emails from promoters and stuff that are like, we'll send you this person to interview and all it'll cost you is X amount. And I'm like, we don't.
Nope.
That's me helping you. I didn't reach out to you. And even if I did reach out to you, like I'm providing you free promotion to our thousands and thousands of listeners. I just don't like this idea. I'm afraid that it could hurt, like our business. I don't know what that means for the future. I think it's kind of crazy. And I wouldn't be surprised if the school steps in and said, hey, we monitor what players get to speak to the media and when for a reason.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow this to happen. No official word from A&M yet on this, but I don't dig it. I don't dig it.
Well, in A&M famously, I remember this during Johnny Manziel's freshman year, they don't let, or at least they didn't used to let freshmen do interviews, freshman football players or freshman athletes. I wonder what's going to happen now, name, image, and likeness, when somebody, there's a big time freshman, on the level of a Manziel or just shy of that somebody wants to fork over some cash for an interview, and that player says yes. That's going to be interesting as well.
Yeah. So we'll have to see just how exclusive these interviews are. And if, I don't know, do they throw their own school under the bus? I mean, they got to pay. What do they want out of them? What do they think they're going to get out of them where it's worth $10,000 versus just your normal media visit? So there you have it. Today's Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding Salty Shakedown as always.
Thank you, sir.
Shaq, cars, all kinds of great stuff going on. And it is weird. And gosh, this, the starting line of this name, image, and likeness craze was just a few weeks ago. We talked about it the day it began. And, already the genie is out of the bottle, and we're seeing some, like this one, bizarre stories, Tex Ags paying the $10,000 for interviews. And we're less than a month into this. I mean, it's only going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and more things that maybe you didn't think of. They're going to be paying athletes for. It's going to, and at one point they're going to start crossing the line. And as you mentioned, Shannon, where universities are going to have to say, whoa, we don't think so. And then when they do that, then what's the backlash going to be?
I mean, sorry, keep going.
No, that's go ahead.
To this point, I kind of was having this moment yesterday. We talked about how the effects on recruiting. Well, what if a kid signs with a Nike or Adidas? Well, then does that cut out their commitment or possible commitment to a place that is, to Texas is Nike. So if the kid is Adidas, are they not going to go to that school, or are they going to have to work out deals where, okay, you have to wear this uniform, like in the NBA, right there, they've got Jordan, their Nike uniforms now, and they're obviously James Harden and Adidas athletes. So he wears the Adidas shoes. Are there going to be compromises that you haven't had to make before that you're going to have to make in the future because of these deals?
It's a great question, and I'll bet you that those dilemmas are coming.
And we know the shoe stories have been big deals, especially in the basketball world.
Absolutely.
Under the table up until now. But
coming up, he is the champion. Tanner Carlson won our British Open Fantasy Golf Challenge. We'll talk Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk Peyton Manning and Eli Manning headed to the broadcast booth for Monday Night Football. We'll get into all of that coming up with Tanner. 8 o'clock hour. Oh, and a big rocket launch coming up. We'll see how that goes as well on the Chris Duel Show. All right, that rocket launch, Blue Origin. little less than 5 minutes, 4.5 minutes. I'm gonna grab some coffee and come back for that. I gotta get Tanner's tripod. Woo! Woo! Tony, welcome in. Warren Wheeler, Robert. Wow, Warren's saying he can hear Shannon fine today. Good. I don't know that anything was done. Maybe we just got lucky, or maybe some engineers did come in and work with that. No, I did have a quadraphonic 8-track tape deck that I thought was cool at the time. Yeah. And it was one of those that back in the day, because there was a lot of theft, you would like stick it in and pull it out. So when you'd leave, and it was like huge. I mean, yeah, it was 1977, so it was like gigantic. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the stereo sounded great. The car was pretty crappy, but the stereo sounded great. Okay, now Fox has cut away to commercials. Do you have a countdown clock? Are you watching it? Okay. Yeah, Fox is at commercial here, or Fox 29, the local one. Now we're at 11 minutes. So I got a live shot back. Yeah.
Aren't you missing your ride?
I am. Yeah.
Man, how cool is that?
That's way cool. And from Texas. First time.
If I could, I would.
So would I. Yeah. I am. By the way, I've got one edited. I should have the R&Rs to you by the end of this show. I did not yet. Okay. Yep. Funny little addition.
Okay, so here's your joke for the day.
All right.
This man sees this wig.
What's up?
What is happening?
Good morning.
The man sees this wig for sale and it's got $1 price tag on it. So he asks the guy, "Are you selling this wig for $1?" He says, "It's a low price to pay."
Very nice. Thank you. So I hear rumors about you.
Yeah, they're probably true.
Wow. So when's your how much longer are you here?
Friday.
This Friday.
This
Wow.
Friday, guys. It was last Monday when I told Brian
My goodness.
everything. So, but let me know if you want me to call in or what.
Yeah, we'll figure out.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Still figure out it. That's if you still want me around.
Yeah, no, we'll I think and again, your new gig might not. I don't know what they're going to say.
And I don't really. I mean, it would just kind of have to. I'd have to look at my
Yeah.
schedule when it
Yeah.
depends on if there's morning meetings or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a Dallas Cowboys freak and analyst and guru, so it makes sense. So we'll definitely do something. Move the launch to 13 minutes, but counting down now. Yeah. Why I can't believe they didn't send you out to the launch site. That'd be a cool thing. If I were a reporter, I'd jump at that opportunity. I'd drive my own way out there just to see it.
I wouldn't trust a Bezos led
Well, and I was
spacecraft.
well, and I had this thought. I mean, even the big guys, NASA, they have an accident every now and then. So, I mean, what are the NASA odds versus these odds?
Yeah, I'm taking NASA over these guys. I'm taking NASA over Amazon
Right.
every time.
And he's got to be hating life that Richard Branson beat him by a week and a half.
Talking, I was like, I'm surprised Elon Musk wasn't like, all right, let's beat Bezos to the punch.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that he wasn't trying to do his launch at the exact same time, like timed it perfectly, But yeah, and he Branson, what is it? What's his name? The other guy who got
Richard Branson.
Branson didn't even break orbit, did he? Or break the atmosphere? He just went to like the edge of the.
He went to the official
edge,
where it's scientific, like the 50-mile mark is you're officially in space.
Okay.
And apparently this one's going to go 12 miles higher to
Right.
62.
Yeah, they're actually going to break the atmosphere and
Okay.
actually, like, float and stuff for
Wow.
like 11 seconds.
Yeah, it's so short.
Yeah, see, my thing is like I'm not paying that much money until they can get me like at least a round trip around the Earth or something.
Get me in orbit and
Yeah.
ideally get me to the International Space Station to hang out for a while.
Well, and that was another thing I said. I'm not going until there's a space resort.
Yeah.
Give me an amusement park or give me
Exactly.
give me my worthwhile out
Yes.
there. Yeah. Because darn well they're going to put a hotel or something.
Yeah.
Like it's at some point in time there'll be a space
well,
station.
and I think then the moon's going to happen eventually.
Yeah,
Then everybody will be romping all over the moon in 1/6 gravity.
Yeah. Someone's going to fly away and float away.
Yeah.
Get stuck out there. Yeah, there's going to come a point where we're just taking our vacations out in space.
So obviously we'll talk Cowboys. Anything specific that you want? Okay.
We'll get on training camp and it'll just take off from there.
And do you know about the Eli Manning, Peyton Manning
I heard about it. I don't know
We'll
details.
probably bring that up, and we'll fill in the blanks.
But I heard, yeah, I did hear about it.
Okay. So I guess we'll talk about Thursday. We'll talk about your next, if that's
Okay, that's fine.
okay. I mean, if you didn't want me to, I wouldn't. But the launch of the Jeff Bezos launch vehicle, Blue Origin, they backed the countdown up a little bit. Dave Ayler, I don't have by the way, Chris Duel show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Coming up, Tanner Carlson is in studio, but we've been keeping an eye on this upcoming launch of the Jeff Bezos Blue Origin launch vehicle. And the TV station I have on, Dave Ayler, does not have the vehicle or a countdown clock right now. Do you have different information than I do?
Yeah, right now we're at almost 5 minutes.
5 minutes on the countdown clock.
5 minutes right now.
So I got a feeling it's going to show up Tanner Carlson on the TV screen because they've been going back. I'm locked into the same channel. I can't change channels. It's what's online in the WOAI studio. So I'm watching what Charlie Parker and Tim Merriman are watching down the hall. So
if you can pull up Twitter, there's a live Twitter video.
Thank you, Shannon.
ABC.
And then also online, there's a live feed. The Blue Orbit website has or whatever it's called.
Okay. Shannon,
the
I'm so glad you told me
has its
that.
own live stream itself, so you can go online and also watch it there as well.
Very, very cool. As a guy who covers the news, Tanner Carlson, as a 1200 WOAI reporter.
Yeah, either the 18-year-old, my bet is that the 18-year-old or the 80-year-old lady had to take a bathroom break is what that's just my guess as to why there's a delay. They're like, okay, guys, before we go, I got to hit the head real quick. I got to go.
Now, one of the people getting on board this vehicle, we were talking about it, Tanner, wore a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, which I think is a first. And of course, we're hoping that was a Texas Longhorn. So maybe we get a hook 'em horns sign from low Earth orbit, even though they're not going to go into orbit, but from lower space.
Whatever
apparently.
it is. Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting for sure. I definitely like the Branson vehicle, the actual craft itself, way better than what Bezos put together.
Yeah.
His is
Bezos has got to be hating.
There's
Richard
a lot of
Branson.
jokes. There's a lot of jokes out right now on Bezos, but I'm not going to go there.
No, we won't. So anyway, within moments, we should be seeing that launch. So Tanner, what could be bigger than a launch into space? Dallas Cowboys training camp tomorrow. The State of the Cowboys press conference from Oxnard, California. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and head coach Mike McCarthy. To me, every year, this is must-see TV for me. I tune in. I go to DallasCowboys.com. Mm-hmm. I am locked in. You are maybe more of a Cowboys freak than Shannon. And I don't know, Shannon, if I'm speaking out of turn, you can challenge me on this, but Tanner is Tanner goes through his own personal mock drafts multiple times. Tanner goes back and reanalyzes the 2013 draft. So if we're tuning in tomorrow to this, you must be like right there with your popcorn tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I've got DallasCowboy.com on constant refresh. It just automatically refreshes every 5 minutes, so I can read the latest articles, so I can watch the latest videos, so I can watch the latest podcast, so I can do whatever I can do to get as much content as they will allow me to indulge in when it comes to Cowboys training camp leading up to their first preseason game, which is the Hall of Fame game. And, as much as I hate preseason games and as much as I hate putting your starters out there, I think this coaching staff is really going to utilize and appreciate this extra, quote unquote, extra preseason game playing in the Hall of Fame game this year. I think it benefits the coaching staff to kind of get that extra look in. And you're kind of back to your old school way of having 4 preseason games leading up into the season instead of the 5 or, the whatever. So yeah, I think the coaching staff will appreciate having an extra look at some of these bubble player guys.
Shannon, I am going ahead and calling tomorrow the start of football season. I mean, we could argue doesn't happen until the regular season happens. We could argue first preseason game. I'm so football starved. I'm just in my world, football season begins tomorrow. Do you agree, or are you more of a purist on this?
I think you're fair. to say that it starts tomorrow, because
I'd say
what starts tomorrow will impact what we see during the season, whether that's an injury, whether that's someone, standing out in camp that maybe we didn't expect, and then they have a great season. And Jerry's words, we will look back on this press conference, good or bad, as we near the end of our season. And then of course, we're going to be featured on Hard Knocks, so those camera crews are probably already filming them arriving in Oxnard. They're probably underway. So I think the first episode should air next week, right?
I think the first episode is August 10th, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, because it gives
2
them
weeks.
time. It gives them time to kind of get all their filming done, and then they got to edit it and all that stuff. So I think the first episode, I think I read it, officially airs August 10th, is what I read.
And the Hall of Fame game's August 5th, so that I'm assuming it involves the Hall of Fame game. So they've got 4 days to edit that down and get it out on the air August 10th, which I'm sure they
August 10th. So I'm here for it starting.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Do either of you, is there anything you want to hear Jerry Jones say, or is it just typical Jerry Jones speak that we're going to go through tomorrow?
Oh yeah, it's going to be that. It's going to be typical Jerry Jones. I don't think there's anything in particular that I'm like looking forward to hearing him say. I don't think there's any news, anything crazy other than, hey, we're trading for Nick Foles and we're going to have him as a backup quarterback. That would really be the only thing, was solidify the backup quarterback.
As we speak, Shannon and Tanner and Dave Ayler, we are watching the launch of the vehicle, the Jeff Bezos vehicle, the Blue Origin, and a few seconds into the flight, it looks like so far so good.
This is pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Not gonna lie.
And thank goodness, so far so good. I mean, that's we were talking earlier before we went on the air, Shannon, and you pray that all of the technology and these unmanned launches of this Bezos craft have gone well. I think they've launched at least 3 of them unmanned. So they've done it before without people on board, the Blue Origin spacecraft. So hopefully everything works. But
do you think these people have to go through training? Do you think they have to go through the G-force training like astronauts do?
It would be wise.
We were talking about that. I don't think they do.
So they're just sitting there with
they're just rich.
Well, the 82-year-old did back in the 60s. We know she went through the training.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear that.
She was part of the women. They had a contingent of women who were astronaut candidates for NASA in the Mercury era in the 60s.
So she's got this figured out.
Yeah. So
if anything goes wrong, they're putting her at the controls.
Yeah. Hopefully her memory from the 60s is working. I know mine isn't.
Or the technology is the exact same as it was when she trained in the 60s. I'm sure it's a little different, but. Yeah, I would. Me personally, before I go up there, I'm saying, look, I'm going through training. I'm going to NASA. You put me in the little G-force little test flight thing up there, and let me get used to space flight until I get on that thing.
Because I'm hurling. They're not even like at this where they are now. I'm hurling.
Yes.
And then your vomit's just going to be floating in the cockpit where everybody's sitting.
Well, it's interesting, and I've read biographies and history on the Apollo flights. Astronauts do hurl, Shannon. You wouldn't be like Frank Borman on Apollo 8 hurled a number of times shortly after liftoff in that vehicle. So it's even if you're a seasoned astronaut. And now we're getting some pictures from the spacecraft. They're about 2.5 minutes into the flight, and we're getting some pictures. And again, as Shannon mentioned, this is available on Twitter and social media, but we're seeing some images from on board the spacecraft, and apparently they have gone into 0G. So we're probably going to see the onboard astronauts take their seatbelts off and go floating around the cabin a little bit.
More like the onboard billionaires, because I don't. Do they qualify as astronauts?
Well, no, do not give them that.
Wow.
I do not need the same. Next, they're going to hit up the White House and get like medals of freedom. No.
Yeah, right. They're going to go visit the White House. Yeah,
they're going to start speaking to kids in kindergarten about going to space. Today, we're going to have a real life astronaut join us.
Yeah, it's just some billionaire oil rigger from Texas
who was up there for 11 seconds
total.
Yeah. You think Jerry would buy a ticket to this?
Yes, 100%. I think.
But would he like? He's so frail. I don't know. Like, it's got to be a lot of commotion going on. Yeah.
Well, you got the 82-year-old, but you're right. Jerry is frail, but you got the 82-year-old on board. They are now approaching 350,000 feet above the earth. And I know this is a weird segment for everybody. We're watching this launch.
We're giving a live broadcast.
Yeah, so we will try to work our way back into sports a little bit while we continue to watch this Jeff Bezos launch vehicle moving into space. Shannon and I, Tanner, were talking about it earlier. It's a big story in the NFL. ESPN on Monday Night Football going to have an alternate broadcast. So you could either watch the regular Monday Night Football on ESPN 1, or you can switch perhaps to ESPN 2, and there'll be an alternate broadcast anchored by Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. They're going to do interviews with other players. They're going to just kind of put their own spin on things. Do you like this idea? Is this a good idea? Are you excited, or is this just a little more craziness that's being done?
I would like it a lot more if it was on Nickelodeon. Give me some slime in the end zone. Give me Eli and Peyton, giving out the MVP award. That would be cool. I would rather watch it on that. But no, I'll probably tune in a couple of times. They only have like 10 broadcasts or something like that. They only are doing like 10 of the Monday Night Football games, something along those lines. So I will tune in and see what it's all about. And then probably after about 30 minutes of Eli and Peyton just going at each other and just giving each other crap, I'm probably going to get tired of it. And then I'll just flip it to the regular broadcast. Unless Witten's in the booth, then I'll probably keep it in the
Oh my
Peyton and Manning
God.
booth.
Poor Jason Witten.
Yeah.
For the rest of his life.
He's coaching high school. He's busy.
Hey,
Is that what he's doing?
he is. He's
Yeah.
coaching up in the Dallas area, private school where his kids go.
It's so weird, guys like that. And I know Trent Dilfer is coaching high school, and a lot of these guys
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
That was the weirdest.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of you would think, and maybe they will, you would think these guys would be on a trajectory to be either college football or NFL assistant coaches.
I think it's more so just they want to interact with that age group more so than it is, I'm gonna be a great high school football coach, or this is gonna be a trajectory to my NFL coaching career. I think it's more so they just want to like kind of mold and shape the kids.
Yeah, they've made their money, they've committed their time, so they're committing their time to this now, but it's much less of a commitment than doing it in the college or pro world.
Right.
Yeah. In a weird way, it's almost like when Tim Duncan became an assistant coach for the Spurs, I was wondering if he was going to catch the fever and want to work his way up the ladder and maybe someday become a head coach. Clearly, after one season, he did not come back. He, clearly loves the game and wanted to be close to it. And I'm sure he helped out for the one season he was with the Spurs. It might be that way in a different arena, obviously, coaching high school football for these big-time former NFL players.
And like for Jason Witten, I think his kids are playing. I think his kids are now at the age where they're in high school and they're kind of going through that school. So I think he wants to be there, coach them, watch their games, be there on the sideline and have that relationship. A lot of these players, they all resort back to their high school coaches and how much they influenced them to play and how much they made them fall in love with the game and how that's influenced their, playing career going forward. And I think Jason Witten wants to be that role model with his kids and have that kind of special bond. It's always a special thing when you see a coach and a player on the sidelines, interacting with each other when they're father and son. So I think that's what it's more about.
Now this launch vehicle is now making its way back to Earth they're under 1,000 feet and now under 300 feet.
That looks like a bad sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Total time, 7 minutes and 15 seconds. Our radio segment is longer than this flight. And there's the landing at 7 minutes and 23 seconds. Touchdown, booster touchdown.
First touchdown of the season, boys.
Touchdown. I told you football season was happening. So, and I'm hoping I see a little bit of flame at the bottom. I'm hoping that's normal. I think it is.
Yeah.
From the, it landed on the circle, Shannon. It landed where it was supposed to land.
What happened to the head of it? It's all open.
Oh, it's parachuting. Okay.
Oh, that's the.
So there's the capsule.
They're in that thing.
They're in that capsule.
Capsule thing.
Yeah.
And that is still at about just above 15,000 feet. And I'm presumably
so they kind of like parachute down. Softly.
That's my
gotcha. Okay.
guess. So wow, okay.
That looked like a bad sci-fi. That looked like bad CGI. It's insane how it's like
really.
Like the movies make that look better than what that actual landing was.
It's like, hey man, this looks better in the movies.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies, Tanner, I watched an hour of Space Jam 2 over the weekend.
Boy.
Shannon is refusing to watch Space Jam 2. Parachutes beginning to deploy on the Blue Origin vehicle. Do you have any interest? Have you watched Space Jam 2 yet?
Nope.
Is it high on you? Will it overshadow the NFL football season for you?
Nope. They could. I mean, I think they had a kind of a bad timing of this, but I don't think they could have really planned on the NBA Finals still going on, plus training camp all going on at the same exact time. But no, I'm not going to watch it. I don't plan on watching it. I did see the stats for LeBron James. He was like 4 of 5. MJ was 22 of 22 in his Space Jam. If that doesn't settle the GOAT debate, then nothing will.
I never thought about that.
He shied away. He sheeped his way down to only taking 5 shots.
He's more of a distributor. He's unselfish.
Wasn't his son's life on the line or something like that?
Apparently, yeah.
So,
he was, yeah.
And you're going to take 5 shots and pass it off? Yeah, okay, come on, LeBron. Way to step up in the big moments.
But wasn't Bugs Bunny kind of hot? Who had the hot hand? Was it Bugs or Daffy Duck?
All I saw were reviews, and all I saw were people saying, wow, LeBron, you're trying to save your kid, and you've only taken 5 shots in this game, life or death situation. And so, yeah, I kind of blame LeBron for kind of sheeping away in the big moment of the game.
We're watching the capsule of the Blue Origin spacecraft parachuting back to Texas. It's just approaching the 700-foot mark and should be touching down on planet Earth within moments. So back to the Dallas Cowboys, and I know one of the weirdest segments we've ever done, but tracking a space launch and touchdown at the same time as we're talking sports. Cowboys defense, what do you look for in the Hall of Fame game? You're excited about this extra game for the Dallas Cowboys. Specifically, what would you like to see in that game?
I need to see what the secondary is going to do. I need to see if the draft picks, we drafted 3 guys for the secondary. We drafted obviously our 2nd round pick, and then we had a 3rd round pick, and then later on in the end of the 6th round, we had guys contributing and playing corner safety for us. So I'm really going to be looking to see what the rotation is going to look like with our cornerbacks. And then the defensive line, I think there's 4 returning players on the entire defensive line right now, or maybe a defensive tackle. I know there's Gallimore and Tristan Hill, and then I think everybody else is either new or drafted. So it'll be interesting to see if any of those guys are going to they're going to need these games to say, hey, this is what I want my rotation to be. Hey, this is how many minutes I want to start playing. I want to be a key contributor to this defense. And with as many new faces and a new defense coordinator who has no biased opinion from last year or who drafted you or whatever, it'll be very interesting to see how the rotation on the defensive line and then in turn also in the secondary with these very, very young group of defensive players that we have. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of Michael Parsons. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of Dak or these offensive linemen. I think they're maybe going to play a series and then they're going to get them out there.
Shannon, are you and we're looking now at images of the Blue Origin spacecraft that has touched down. And the image I'm looking at, I see a body, I see a figure in the okay, there finally I see some movement. I saw that person in the window and I didn't see any movement. I was starting to freak out, Shannon.
Yeah, it's I've been watching it as well. It's hard not to watch because it is so, dare I say it, out of this world. But I'm like, can we come out of the craft now? Can we? I need a head count. Head count, please.
Because I didn't see any movement for a while.
There. I'm seeing a couple people moving there.
But I would know for like the first 2 minutes that one person there on the left-hand window was not moving. I'm going, oh my God, what if there was like an air leak or something in space?
Now,
so thank God it looks like we're okay.
As to why these billionaires want to get off of Earth so badly, can we discuss? Is there something we don't know that they do know? Like, why is there all of a sudden this race to get off planet Earth?
Because they can make a lot of money. Because there's other
a lot more money.
There's other multimillionaires willing to pay millions of bucks to go. I mean.
So does this money that all of these billionaires just spent on this 11-second ride, is that all going in Bezos's pocket?
I would think so. I think ultimately,
for the most part,
I mean, it's his company.
Other than those who, attributed to creating the actual craft itself.
I mean, obviously, it goes back into the company and some research and development, but I mean, it's a for-profit, private venture, commercial venture. So I would think so. Shannon, what do you think? Why now? That's a great question by Tanner, who's a news reporter. But Shannon, why do you think the flurry of these launches is happening right now as opposed to some other time?
From the very little I know about these billionaires, everything they do is to benefit them. And so there's got to be money and more incentives to go along with it.
Can't Jerry Jones partner with Bezos and Richard Branson?
Do you want to be the first team to play a football game in space?
Yes.
Like a preseason game on the moon?
Yes. 1/6 gravity. That's going to be.
Could you imagine kicking field goals?
Oh, my God.
It'd be a 100-yard field goal. Good.
Easy.
You would, well, you'd have to be accurate enough to do that. But I don't think there's any wind. I think it'd be like playing in a dome. I think if you're a straight shot, I think that's, you're solid. You're golden.
Yeah. Alan Shepard famously hit a golf ball on the moon. Apollo 14. And again, it's 1/6 the gravity of Earth.
Yeah.
And he said he was embellishing, but he said the ball traveled for miles and miles and miles.
Yeah.
But when he hit it, it just kept on going.
The saying to the moon, you can actually hit it to the moon or on the moon.
But someday, and maybe we live to see it. Maybe you guys do. I'm a lot older than you.
This would be fantastic.
Football on the moon. Dallas Cowboys football on the moon.
I've got a great idea.
I'd never get a ticket.
For us short,
Get a media
unathletic
credential.
white guys who have always wanted to dunk a ball, a 10-foot on a 10-foot goal. I'm putting a basketball court on the moon.
Yes.
And I'll be able to dunk. It'll be my first dunk.
See, and all the your billionaires will want to go to the moon so they can dunk. It's like, look at me.
Well, and then you put like a little cutout of LeBron, so you're dunking on LeBron, put him on a poster,
Very nice. Actually, if you're a billionaire, you could actually pay for LeBron to go, and you
there.
can. That's part of the package.
That's technically the whole theme to the first Space Jam is that they were going to have MJ just getting dunked on by a bunch of little alien kids at an amusement park. That's essentially what you would be doing with like a LeBron James or something. Just have him chained down so he can't actually play defense, and you're just dunking on him.
Well, Tanner Carlson, thank you for participating in the weirdest segment in the history of sports talk radio.
A very fun segment. Oh, and by the way, I got no props for my champion.
Oh my God, you're right. We were so caught up in
texted you
Bezos.
or whatever.
Yeah, Shannon texted me, but I got nothing from Andy or Chris. They must have been very salty about my victory.
Well, my dude led at the end of the first 3 rounds. I'm like, Oosthuizen or whatever the hell his name is.
And then I did tell Shannon, I said, how incredible was it that all of our guys were up on top of the leaderboard? I thought that was fantastic, by the way. And we need to open up some kind of golf podcast or a betting website or something, because we killed it this last week.
We did.
Yeah.
You put up like the top 5 like halfway through, and it was like everybody we drafted pretty much.
I mean,
I am remiss for not congratulating you. You are the champion. Shannon, I don't know what the trophy is, but you must now hand your crown to Tanner Carlson. There's a new
No, wait a
shirt.
minute. We tied. Of the 4 majors, we went 2 for 2, both of us.
Okay.
So we'll share it.
So we're going to have to do this again.
I guess I guess you can't really do the FedEx Cup because that's all on a point system. So
maybe we can draft Olympians. Are there 4 Americans in the Olympics?
We're doing
maybe we should
4.
Yeah, we could do Ryder Cup or draft Olympians or something. So
we'll figure it out.
All right.
There'll be a tiebreaker somewhere.
Tanner, we'll do this again. We'll figure it out. We'll talk to you again on Thursday, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And Shannon, I understand, and we'll in addition to sports, the iHeart Country Music Festival lineup was announced. You're going to have that for us. What we got space flight, we got country music, we got everything.
What a show.
Cowboys, NFL, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Lots coming at you in the final half hour. She is Shannon Salty Sweeney. Our thanks to Tanner Carlson. You can follow him at Tanner Carlson 20 on Twitter. More coming at you. Dave Ayler making the show go. Till 9, it's the Chris Duel Show. Woo!
If there was ever a supervillain on
he pays no taxes. To me, he is a supervillain. Yeah, they are. They're all on, so be careful. But to me, he is a supervillain.
He has that look about him.
Well, and I've never heard him talk a lot. I saw interviews with him last night for this launch, and he's got kind of a strange way of speaking as well. I mean, he's almost like
for him being as brilliant as he is and rich, he just has that very kind of look at that dude's crew.
Could be you, man. Could be Tanner Carlson.
I should have talked to Brian about getting me up there.
That would have been great. That would have been a fun, especially on your your swan song.
All right, man. Well, I will see you Thursday. We'll definitely talk more.
We'll have a lot to talk about from Jerry. Yeah.
100% Cowboys.
In fact, that'll be the day, since it's tomorrow, that'll be reaction day to whatever Jerry had to say.
Yeah.
So that'll be real good for us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks so much. Well, thank God everybody's okay on this space flight. I did not want to be live on the radio having to react to a disaster. So thank goodness. Let's see, that'll be July 28th. So yeah, the actual space flight was shorter than our radio segment. So if you want to spend millions of dollars to go into space, we'll charge you a lot less to sit in the studio. Now, I wonder if the dude wore his cowboy helmet throughout the flight, or cowboy hat, not a helmet, cowboy hat. I'm multitasking. I'm editing a commercial while trying to talk. It's like walking and chewing gum, which I'm not that good at. Cool. And I'll get your thoughts on what you saw. Yeah, Robert, I missed the champagne moment. I was looking away. Louisa says she thought the capsule hit the ground kind of hard. Yeah, Louisa, I saw the same thing. I saw that one body in a window not moving for about 2 minutes. And I was thinking, oh my God, 'cause you had the Payne Stewart thing years ago in an airplane that lost cabin pressure at altitude. So I was concerned about that. Here we go. Very good choice.
Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
Or put your cowboy hat on. Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. A few minutes ago, we all witnessed the Blue Origin spacecraft lift off from Van Horn, Texas, into space. The capsule separated from the booster. The booster landed back on the pad, and the capsule with parachutes floated back to Earth. Looks like everything went well. Dave Ayler, who appropriately, as your soundscape stylist, plays Space Oddity by David Bowie there. Dave Ayler, you were able to focus on the imagery more than we were, because we were talking sports and watching the launch at the same time. Your thoughts about what you saw here this morning?
I thought it was pretty cool. What I want to see is what was going on inside the capsule. You know, I'm assuming they had some camera in there where you could see it floating around. I want to see Jeff Bezos vomit.
That footage, just like the Richard Branson Virgin Galactic footage, should be coming out pretty quickly this morning as well. That was some really good footage from the other launch a number of days ago. So we'll keep an eye on it. So Shannon, the big question: would you, if you had the money, let's say you win the lottery and you win $26 million in the lottery, and you can spend $1 million to go into space, do you do it?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'd be smarter with my money. invest it, make sure those in my circle are taken care of, make sure I'm taken care of, and me shooting myself into space does not sound like taking care of myself.
Yeah, I mean, if you could,
I wouldn't do it for 10 minutes. If
no,
it was,
not for 10 minutes.
It was like overnight or something. Then, then I'd go for it.
Yeah, if I could do an orbit, or if I could
Like an
get
Airbnb
yeah,
space vacation.
let me go hang out at the International Space Station for a while, for a day. But yeah, an entire trip that is shorter than our first segment of the hour. It's not long enough. It's not worth $1 million or millions of dollars.
Yeah. I'm also afraid of heights, so I don't think those pair well.
That's true, because once you're up there, it's like you're stuck.
Yeah, I would be regretting everything immediately.
You can't say I want out now.
Yeah, that's not. Stop the ride.
Yes.
Man, this isn't a simulation.
And so, since everything went fine, does everybody get free shipping on Amazon today or something?
It's a great. We should.
Come on, Bezos, give us something.
Yeah, that's like Mattress Mac. Mattress Mac bets on himself. Everyone wins.
Yes.
Jeff Bezos. Again, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I totally agree with that. So, Shannon, we talked about it as well during the show earlier this morning. In addition to the launch of Blue Origin, the launch of the iHeart Country Music Festival underway as we find out who the acts are, who's going to be in the iHeart Country Music Festival, and any names stand out to you as special.
Yes, the Irwin Center will be hosting the iHeart Country Festival. Usually it's in the springtime, usually May, but because we missed it this last couple of years, it's going to be October 30th. There is a Texas football game against Baylor in Waco that day. However, that game time is not announced. So if it is a morning game, you'll be able to make both, or at least watch both. But we've got Blake Shelton, who of course was the main headliner for the show that did get canceled due to COVID. He will be back along with Toby Keith, Little Big Town, Jake Owen, Lee Bryce, Carly Pierce, Cole Swindell, Chase Rice, and I'm sure more will be announced. Tickets go on sale July 30th.
Very, very nice. Will you be there? Now you don't.
I will probably be working.
Yeah. I mean, I like country music. Some of those names, like Blake Shelton and Toby Keith, are some pretty big names.
Mm-hmm.
But the three of us collectively, and I've gone to country music venues. I've been out to Floor's Country Store. I've been to a Willie Nelson concert. I'm not anti-country. It's just I'm not hardcore country. But Dave Ayler, are you a country guy? To these? I know you're a metal guy. But do these names speak to you at all?
I like Toby Keith. The rest of them I could do without.
Okay, we won't have you cutting a radio commercial for the iHeart Country Music Festival.
I can fake it if they want to pay me some extra money.
Yeah, your big blurb will go on commercial. I like Toby Keith. The rest of them I can do without. Dave Ayler, San Antonio. Woo! All right.
I think it's a good lineup. I'm looking forward to it. And they haven't announced the daytime stage yet, so that's something to look forward to. And that part's free. Y'all know I love free.
Now, will that also be at the Frank Irwin Center, or is that another venue?
It's like outside on the plaza for the Frank Irwin Center. And I wonder if this is going to be the last time they do it at the Irwin Center. With the movie center just around the corner. I don't know if they'll move it there. Maybe they'll consider moving it to Q2. I don't know. Maybe moving it out of Texas. Who knows? But
Q2 would be cool. Q2 would be real cool as a venue. So now the new arena, the new venue, will it be up and running by the time Chris Beard leads the soon-to-be Final Four participant Texas Longhorns men's basketball team into action?
Not this year. The following year.
So we still have another year at the Irwin Center.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wouldn't it be something if they actually like ended up packing the Irwin Center and tickets are hard to come by and people, and now we're going to this smaller venue?
That would be amazing.
Like, look what you did.
Yeah. Well, and I've always thought that's what's interesting about Austin FC and Q2 Stadium is that, it's smaller. And if it were bigger, there's such a demand for tickets that you would sell them. That's why I wonder, I've talked about Toyota Field here in San Antonio. When it was built by Gordon Hartman, he wanted it to be an MLS stadium ultimately, so he made it expandable so that as crowds grew and his vision was MLS soccer in San Antonio. It was the San Antonio Scorpions originally, but they built it to be an expandable stadium. It's like, all right, it holds 3,000 now, then phase 2 we can expand to 4,000, and phase 3 we can expand to whatever 8,000.
Mhm.
So yeah, it is interesting. Small. It's so weird. Like Jerry World is such a behemoth, gigantic facility, but in some cases, smaller facilities might be the new trend.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no bad seat in Q2. It's great. And they do have a place where they will eventually expand and add more seats, but they do need to figure out the parking thing because it's not great now. Eventually, the shuttle line will drop off, like the Cap Metro line will drop off at the stadium, but that hasn't even been built yet. So they've got a lot of that to figure out before they start putting in more people in that area.
See, when they built here in San Antonio, they built the Alamo Dome back in the early 90s, holds 65,000 people for football if you need it to. And they built what, Dave, 3,000 parking spots? It's crazy. There's not enough parking. And then they go, oh, but we got park and ride. So people will be able to get on the bus. It's like when I go to an event, when the event's over, I want to go home. I don't want to get on a bus with a bunch of smelly people.
Yeah, and then
I want to control my own destiny. And if I want to leave early, I want to leave early.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, build parking. Come on, build a big old parking garage. Somebody will pay for it and make money from it.
Yeah.
So.
Build a stadium and they will come. Build parking and they will come more often.
Boom. There you have it. Shannon, we talked about it. The big story tonight in sports has got to be the NBA Finals, game number 6. Bucks can win the series tonight. They lead the Phoenix Suns 3-2. It's at the Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. I'm feeling like the Bucks are going to win tonight. That's my gut feeling. I believe they're going to win tonight, but it's a darn good Phoenix Suns team. And you and I talked earlier in the show that the Suns need a big night from Chris Paul, and if they can get a double big night from Chris Paul and Devin Booker, they'll be hard to beat tonight and can maybe force a 7th game. What do you think happens tonight between the Bucks and the Suns?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks go ahead and take this one. They've come this far. Seal the deal. Seal it while you're at home in front of your home fans. But like you said, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, they will have something to say about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they've done whatever they've needed to the past couple of days to click and kind of get back to where they were on those first 2 matchups against the Bucks, where both guys were dominant. Both guys were in the MVP conversation, and they've kind of been left there since then. So I don't think they'll go out without a fight here.
And if the Bucks win this thing, and again, I was wrong on Chris Middleton throughout most of these playoffs. And, Middleton, he's good, but he's no Robin to Giannis's Batman. And Middleton has been a force a lot of games in these playoffs. And the other one, head coach Mike Budenholzer, who after being down 2-0 to the Brooklyn Nets, I was telling you, this guy's going to maybe lose his job if he gets swept by the Brooklyn Nets. And I was even theorizing, well, I guess Pop gives him a job. I guess Pop brings him back to the Spurs, and then it'll be a competition to see when Pop leaves, will it be Becky or will it be Mike Budenholzer as the next head coach of the Spurs? My God, what a turnaround for Coach Bud if he gets a darn ring tonight and wins the NBA championship.
I mean, it's like a case for getting into the Hall of Fame. Not only do you become an NBA champion head coach, but you do it under those circumstances. I mean, any normal human being who had the injury that Giannis had probably isn't walking right now. Like how he managed to not tear anything, I still don't understand. And then the fact that even with that, he's come back and play the way he has. That's coaching. He's built to last the entire season. So LeBron, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about your rest. I don't want to hear it.
And Shannon, any question in your mind if the Bucks win tonight, is Giannis your MVP or does Chris Middleton deserve some consideration?
I think they give it to Giannis, but I did see a headline yesterday that said Drew Holiday would make a great case.
He's played well as also. Mm-hmm.
But Giannis probably, definitely.
And in this big week, we've talked about it. You've got the NBA Finals. You've got Dallas Cowboys opening their camp tomorrow with the big Jerry Jones press conference and the Olympics. And Shannon, the Olympics were the topic of our poll question this morning.
Yes, asking how bad will COVID-19 outbreaks impact the Olympics? And so far, a lot of people, 60% to be exact, saying it will have a significant impact. 25% saying moderate impact. 3% saying very little. And 12% now saying it'll shut down the games.
That would be so awful. And it's a possibility. And I hope and pray it doesn't happen. But, you know, it seems like every day, Shannon, we hear of more players who are withdrawing or going into health and safety protocols like Zach Levine of the men's basketball team. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out in the Olympics.
I am hoping all goes well because I will be heartbroken for those athletes and for the last few weeks of summer for myself should the Olympics get canceled.
And I want Pop to get the gold medal as coach of Team USA. And I know technically the coaches don't get medals, but I want Pop to lead.
He should.
He should, darn it. We'll give him one. We'll give him a Shannon and Chris gold medal. That's what we'll do. I'm sure he'll be thrilled with that. Shannon, spectacular as always. Let's do this in 21 hours. Let's do it again.
Yes, sir. See you tomorrow.
And tomorrow's the big day. Jerry Jones press conference. Woo! Tomorrow should be a holiday. Take off from work tomorrow because it's beginning of Cowboys training camp. Dave Ayler, great job, sir.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
You rock. Our thanks to Tanner Carlson as well. Congratulations to Blue Origin, the spacecraft, for the successful flight. Enjoy your Tuesday. Adios, amigos.